Friday, SMITE fans. You're watching the SOC Finals over in North America. My name is Dolson. Mifflin is with me to walk me through exactly what we're going to see here today. It's a run back, Mifflin. We got Froggy versus Ohey over here in North America in what was a pretty contested matchup the first time we saw them, so I expect a close one here as well.
I expect one too, but as far as name recognition goes, we're really just looking at Ohey. They've got players like Oceans from the SPL, we've got Kiki, Kirmi, who's been an up-and-coming ranked star, whereas Froggy's a little bit more of an up-and-comers. They do have a similar, comparable amount of history inside of competitive SMITE. I'm talking about players like Jinku Bang, Snatty, Baronary. They just haven't quite reached the same levels that the players from Ohey have.
Yeah, and you wonder if in picks and bans, these two teams maybe start to target one another. You have to target some of that extra name recognition that Ohey might have on their side. Let's answer that question, see if picks and bans maybe have something in store for us. The trickle-down kind of meta from the SPL is certainly something we've taken note of. There are obviously some differences, I think, when you go from the highest level down to the SEC, down to the SOC. You kind of sometimes see these more solo carry-esque junglers. Bakasura comes to mind. Kali maybe a little bit more often down here at this level. One thing, though, still holds the same, Mifflin, and that's that magical ADCs are going to be prioritized, and Yamoja as well is going to get taken away.
I'm glad to see it. For the first couple of weeks of the SOC, it seems like they didn't care about the meta. We're seeing Nemesis every game. We were seeing Freya and Olara and Cthulhu all getting through. It seems like they were kind of still stuck in that Phase 1 ban mentality. But now that they're starting to adapt, we do normally see this auto-attack-centric jungler coming out from this level of play. As you highlighted earlier, Bakasura, Arachne, Mercury seems to be pretty popular. But it seems like, especially in this week in particular, they've really started to adapt to whatever Ghost Gaming's doing, whatever Sanguine's doing, that's what they want to do.
Well, Hercules getting taken away, I think, maybe changes up the dynamic of what we'll see here. Ohey in an interesting spot. Take away the Cupid. Persephone comes to mind now as what's been left open, and that usually at the higher levels of SMITE is exactly what is taken away with the first pick overall, and we will see the same thing here from Froggy. A great way to start off the draft. Get yourself that high damage potential control there in the mid lane, and Froggy's got to be happy about it.
Interesting that they decided to ban out Cupid instead of the Persephone in that first phase of bans. Cupid is an incredibly strong hunter that can flex in a mid or ADC with a pretty decent amount of pressure with heart bomb changes, but Persephone is a god that can kill you post-mortem, attack you from further away than anyone else, technically miss her ultimate, accidentally hit a wall, and still CC 5 members of your team. This god brings so much value, so I think it's no surprise to anyone that Froggy first picked it.
And you're going to get the Jing Wei here as well for Ohey on the back of the first pick, Aphrodite. Aphrodite, I think, is in such an interesting spot, Mifflin, where for a while there, it was this pick ban priority. You have to get her, you have to ban her. And now, at least in the SPL level, if we're going to continue to draw those comparisons, it's more maybe a player-by-player basis. You know, Dardes frequently gets Aphrodite banned out against him. Paul comes to mind there as well. But she's still, I think, in a very strong spot, and Ohey seemed to agree.
The healing and just the raw potential to tilt the enemy team with Undying Love or that sustain, I think really is the strength of Aphrodite. I think she's in a similar spot as Ao Kuang in that it's a god that has a lot of high-end potential. It's very, very strong if in the right hands, but it seems to fall in and out of the meta as the years go on until someone remembers, oh wait, Aphrodite, Ao Kuang, those are both really strong. Let's start to pick them up again. But in Season 7 Phase 2, I think it's one of the most execution-centric mid laners you can have in the game. Aphrodite's early game is weak. Levels 1 through 5, she's not got a lot going on for her. So that's really where you see junglers trying to exploit her in mid. Whether or not Froggy can draft some pressure and really work around that is yet to be seen.
You'll have to see what Froggy draft in that jungle role to maybe exert some pressure there in the early game. Makes you wonder if that's something that's in their mind as far as getting a jungler that can put out a little bit of that extra early pressure, maybe put this Aphrodite a little bit behind. Hey, Robin, he's very good at doing that. Oh, hey, realizing there might be some early pressure, going to take Robin off the table. Cthulhu makes his way to the second wave of bans. I think that's maybe an interesting thing to look at here. Lots of, you know, maybe not, questionable is not the right word, but lots of over priority maybe of other gods over the Cthulhu, I think, is what I find so surprising here. Achilles is absolutely seen a rise. He's going to get banned out as well by Froggy. Daji left open. That's a strong jungle pick for Ohey.
and it's going to be a very strong ultimate in general. Terra's going to be very susceptible, as is Persephone. Rom a little bit less so. That To the Skies ultimate, that's Horus actually. Rom's Astral Arrows, that's his passive. You know what? We're going to talk about Rom's ultimate later. We'll call it the snipes, we'll call it the marvels, whatever you want. Either way, it's avoiding dodgy ultimate, as is Sobek's. I like this Robin ban a lot because it's exactly what you said. That pressure in the early game is going to be very hard to deal with as an Aphrodite, so they already eliminate that. But Froggy taking out Achilles is interesting as well, because Achilles has seen a recent resurgence into the jungle, has tons of pressure, taking it away for yourself. A little bit interesting to me, especially considering that Ohey likely is going to be sending that Cerberus into the soul lane. They could flex it over into support, but you know what? Yeah, Cerberus support. I'm having a rough day, Dave.
No, fair enough. But look, Cerberus in support, raises some eyebrows. We've seen him in the solo lane, I think, a little bit here as of late. I think Sobek versus Terra is an interesting one to look at. I mean, 99% of the time is going to be Promise over in the support role playing that Terra. Sobek in the solo lane, I think, is something that we saw for a while there, slowed down a little bit here as of late, but still something that in the late game, near impossible to deal with. And you look at kind of the difference between Cthulhu support, Cthulhu solo. You're going to get online, you're going to get harder to kill earlier on. I think if you're the Sobek, Mercury is going to scale very well into the late game as well. Is there one draft, Mifflin, going into game one that you tend to like a little bit better?
I really like Froggy's draft, and it might just be completely due to this Persephone pick, but as far as their team fight goes, it's going to be absolutely strong. Just taking a peek at Froggy as well, that Terra pick could also flex over into the soul lane, so I think that's keeping Ohey on their toes a little bit. I'd be excited to see how well both teams deal with the mid laners.
Well, Froggy versus Ohey, the SOC Finals over here in North America. Let's kick them off. Why don't we? And Mifflin, I kind of want to pick things off, or start things off, rather, right in that jungle matchup that we see here. Kirmi versus Jingu Bang. It's the Mercury over for Froggy, and it's the Daji over there for Ohey. What do you make of this jungle matchup? What are some expectations? We know that Jingu Bang is going to want to farm up, get himself to this late game, hyper carry potential on this Mercury. Kirmi, maybe some of the same as well. When do you maybe expect to start seeing some of this pressure put out?
Both gods, the second they tick over to level 5, have pretty decent targets in the mid lane. Kirmi should be looking for Baronary almost constantly, as is Jinku Bang should be looking for Kiki with the hoodie. God, Kiki, you gotta control these name changes, man. I think that it's an interesting matchup as well, in that Mercury is likely going to be going for the Golden Blade, so even though relatively should be scaling a little bit slower into the late game, Mercury's jungle clear is going to be a lot faster than Daji's, so we might see a slight level disparity start to grow if both play passively.
That's right, we know what Mercury can do once he starts to get online. The big sweeping ultimates through the lane as well. It's not always this kind of jungle gank around about the backside that you get with Mercury. The avenues for aggression, absolutely there from multiple different angles. Now, over in the long lane, we started to see an interesting meta, I think, start to spring out where things maybe haven't slowed down, but it kind of depends on this. Which support can get to that level 2 first? This time, Oceans and Promise both reaching it around the same amount of time. Data Remember maybe a little bit more potent immediately off the bat than Wheels might be. I think a fun long lane to watch. Whoa, that's Chronic, who's now taken one too many tower shots, returning around a good bit of damage there. Snatty in range. Does he have the cooldowns? Yes, he does! Chronic, oh no! And Snatty finds first blood. Oceans, in the meantime, has to run away. Shell popped by Froggy. Already a lot of action, Mifflin, a minute and a half in.
Chronic just got a little bit overzealous, feeling a little bit confident. The Tyr Sobek matchup really does favor Tyr. He's got more sustain. He's able to deal more damage. His CC ability and poke is a lot higher. But Chronic moved up a little bit too far, trying to poke out Snatty. Got plucked into the tower, took one or two shots, lost his life on the tail end of it. I mean, that's tough. You can't be making those mistakes this early on.
Yeah, oh hey, they need to, pause the game, take a deep breath, realize what just happened, put it behind them before moving back into it. That's tough, though, especially Mifflin when we talked about, kind of counter to your point. I mean, it's the same point, but from the different angle, where you expect this tier to have such a good time maybe early in the game, and Sobek needs a little bit more time to build himself into it. Now you've got this Sobek who's already started off with a kill under his belt. It's a solo kill. You haven't had to divert pressure from anywhere else on the map to get yourself there. this is a lane now where Snatty can start to maybe bring over Jingu Bang and really start to snowball this one.
That is the potential of it, but having a Sobek in the solo lane, I mean, it's not that huge a deal for him to get this far ahead in the early game. A first blood, about 400 gold, maybe a level in his favor. There's not a ton of solo potential as long as Chronic decides to play passively in the future.
Doesn't get hit with the tower.
The second they tick over to level 6, doesn't get hit by the tower, exactly. The second both tick over to level 6, neither one's going to have any solo potential on the other. And with the junglers coming in, Kirmi might have a little bit of better time trying to gank out Snatty if Chronic is able to take away that ultimate. Jinku Bang going into the tier, I mean, the Sonic Boom's not going to be that impactful. The tier's Fearless is going to be a great self-peel tool. I think it's going to be very hard for either jungler to want to really rotate into this lane.
How about this, though, from Snatty Mifflin? Look at the amount of damage that he's doing to Chronic. A pluck, a tailspin, all doing massive amounts. He's gone power boots right off the bat here, so looking for a little extra pressure immediately into this game is actually going to walk himself forward to look for the blue buff invade. Jingu Bang wasn't close by. That's sort of what I mean. I mean, Snatty's got himself this leverage point now where he can at least bully out Chronic. Tough to do. Tier able to kind of sustain himself, get himself right back into lane there. So something to keep our eyes on, I think, absolutely over there in that solo lane. A moment we were trying to kind of peek in at this long lane before the action in the solo lane broke out. Wheels now pulling himself one level ahead of Data Remember on this ROM. You talk about the late game scaling potential. ROM, Jingwei, they're going to be hanging with one another there, but Wheels probably happy with the way this game has started off for him.
He's gotta be, and the second both of these supports rotate out a lane, Wheels playing the Jingwei is going to be completely safe at all times, whereas this ROM's going to be worried about ganks.
I love the double dive there from Wheels and Oceans. They go up and over, unable to complete the initiation over onto Data Remember. Promise a little bit further behind, half HP now on this Terra, and that's going to open up the door for Ohey to start to rotate themselves now out of this lane. Haven't seen much action over in the mid lane yet. Granted, we're only 4 minutes into the game, so the window for that opportunity hasn't maybe quite opened itself up yet. But just now, Mifflin, these junglers tick over to that level 5 mark, so maybe this is where we start to see some of that mid lane pressure we expected to see on the Aphrodite.
And you gotta hope so, because if you let Aphrodite scale well into the late game, let her free farm for however long she needs to, she might be the defining factor for Ohey. If Kiki with a Hoodie's allowed to make it to level 10, level 12 without any real pressure on him, he's not going to deal as much damage as Baronary, but Baronary's damage might as well not exist if he's hitting anyone that Afro is able to heal, which is the entirety of your team. There's a lot of utility that Aphrodite brings as well, and her damage potential, although lower than Persephone, is still incredibly high. Link up with the Daji, you've got a pretty strong power combo there. Daji uses the 3 to get in, back off comes off at the tail end of it. That's a ton of damage immediately to the enemy, and I think that might be why we're seeing so many shells get picked up from Froggy.
That's a first big initiation here from Jingu Bang. Immediately answered back with the Palaus from Kirmi. Promise, though, he's not worried about it. Tanky enough, dashes himself away, gets the root down as well. Kirmi over the wall,
nice
finds Baronary, pulled immediately back in by Oceans, and Kirmi gets the first kill of the game for Ohey. Jingu Bang now full-on retreat, as it is Snatty who is rotated in from the solo lane. Kiki low on the mana pool. And the disengage from Ohey looks to be complete. Snatty, though, going back in. This fully charged ultimate from the Sobek will do a good bit of damage, countered out by Chronic, and now Snatty is the one being looked at by 3 members of Ohey. The rotation from Baronary, maybe just a little bit late here, but the pluck used defensively enough to slow things down. Stun, not enough, and Snatty will get out alive.
What a fantastic ultimate from Chronic. Doing the up down there, perfect timing to avoid the damage, returns it with a slow, allows them to reposition and shrine surround Snatty. Unfortunately, Kiki with the Hoodie was completely and Kirmi was a little bit too far away to return damage himself, a little bit too low health, so Snatty makes it out with his life, but it shows the potential there that Ohey have the ability to kill this Sobek despite the early lead that he's established for himself, despite the defense he's already starting to build into. Looks like it's going to be a Breastplate of Valor for that additional CDR, which should help out with sustain, should help out with his ability to sit in lane if his blue buff gets invaded, and those ultimates are going to come up a lot more often, being an absolute menace in these team fights. But despite all of that, Snatty's still at risk if he tries to get a little bit froggy, on his own.
Mifflin, it is we are 15 minutes into the day, and you are absolutely swinging already. So hats off to you. Got to keep that energy rolling as far as the puns go, and I'm excited to see that ramp up through the rest of the afternoon. I think it's pretty interesting, though. You start to look at how some of the early trades affected the relic pool here. Beads down for Jingu Bang. Promise has to use his shell. Baronary as well uses the beads out of the mid lane. Nothing used from Kiki there as far as actives go, but that kind of lent my eyes over to the solo lane here. Blink for Chronic, not all that surprising. Snatty, though, has gone for the shell, so no teleport for either of the solo laners this time around. Oh, big Sonic Boom from Jingu Bang is going to peel out this solo lane fight. Kirmi, though, is going to get the kill onto Snatty nonetheless. Promise on the chase. Won't get the root, or the stun, rather, onto Oceans this time around, and the Terra Pillar will sink back down. Ohey, they seek out the fight, nearly turned around by Jingu Bang, but it's a kill for Ohey nonetheless.
I think Jingu Bang was just a little bit too hesitant with that ultimate. We saw before the fight even started he was looking for it, and he just wasn't quite able to line it up in time. Maybe spent a little bit too much time lining up the three-man collab.
Ooh, Baronary nearly with the fadeaway ultimate there. Kiki likely would have been dead, though has the beads, so would have been able to walk away from it. No ultimate, though, for this Aphrodite. Turn around some good damage there. As a 2v1 just for a moment. Ocean's hanging close by. Kirmi there as well. The kiss really was the turnaround there. So this Aphrodite has seen some early pressure, Mifflin, but no kills for Froggy to show for it. Instead, it's the 1 assist for the Ohey mid laner.
But the pressure has already established a level deficit. Baronary level 9, Kiki with a hoodie just barely approaching level 9. I think he's still level 8 at this point. That's all you need. It's not always necessary to get the kill. You don't have to send someone back to base in the body bag. If they go back to base, that's a TKO. There's less time farming. Keep that pressure up, and then eventually it's going to continue to grow. I think Froggy are doing a good job of making sure that Kiki isn't farming up freely.
Well, I think you were smart to say that the early solo kill from Snatty wouldn't spell the end to this lane for Chronic. Actually, much the opposite. Chronic has now received a little bit of extra pressure from the rest of his team, pulled about a half level ahead of Snatty over here on the Sobek. A couple of assists there as well. So on the back of that solo kill, Snatty receives a little bit extra. Hasn't been able to totally pole vault that into a big lead here. Now actually going to pull Kirmi over to this side of the map underneath the tier 1 tower. So a solo lane gank imminent. Kirmi will be plucked away. Does have the ultimate should he need it. Some good body blocks countered out by Snatty. Under the ground he goes. Who gets the kill? Chronix now maybe turns one around. A tower shot or two on his way out. But it's Snatty who goes down.
But on the other side of the map, the pressure is on. Jingu Bang decides he has to do something if the solo side's going to get invaded. Team fight erupts, but it seems like it's going to fizzle out as really no ultimates are making their way home.
Well, Kiki has to use his ultimate here, and Baronary will pick up the kill over onto the Ohey mid laner. So Froggy are able to pull one back on the opposite side of the map, over by that Gold Fury, but not feeling confident enough to start it back up. In behind goes Kirmi, saves the Palaus from the solo lane gank, and Baronary will now go down. Ohey continuing to push this lead. Now pull themselves about 400 or 500 gold ahead, but establishing dominance over around this Gold Fury.
Froggy decides not to instant cancel the ultimate there, which would have sped up his respawn timer, but instead tries to put as much damage out onto Oceans, onto Kirmi as he possibly could to eliminate the idea that Gold Fury is something that they could do. Ohey looked like they might have been posturing towards it, but backed off the second Persephone found all that damage. That's a smart play from Baronary, but Froggy in general just kind of overstay their welcome on Ohey's side of the map, allows Kirmi to rotate all the way from solo lane into this engagement, make his stamp known on both sides of the map. It seems like Froggy are just kind of walking around, spending too much time instead of making decisive plays.
Well, you have to be a little nervous if you're Froggy that the only lead you have is really a half level over Wheels. Day to remember is Wheels reaches that level 11 mark around the same time. The net worth between the two very close as well. It was, about 200 the last time I saw, so you start to look at some of the differences that are building out here, and it's Ohey, unsurprisingly, that are keeping themselves somewhat even in this game. So maybe on the flip side of that coin, Mifflin, despite Ohey putting out the early pressure, finding themselves the early kills in this one, it's actually even, all things considered, 11 minutes in.
But I'm sure Ohey's fine with being even. Baronary is going to scale well. Jingu Bang is going to scale well. But are they going to scale as well as a late-game Daji, as well as a late-game Jingwei and Aphrodite? The team fight potential from Ohey is incredibly high.
And they're going to put that potential to use over here in the long lane. It was Jingu Bang who rotated over, looking for the gank. 3 men in the mid lane now for Ohey, barreling down towards the tier 1 tower. Promise awaiting a dive, looking for a root. A little bit of extra healing as well on the back end of it. So Kirmi's going to look over towards this solo lane again, is what it looks like after that mid lane pressure, but obviously Snatty will realize that it's there. This is how he got first blood, remember, a pluck on Necronic underneath the tier 1 tower, ultimate immediately canceled by Kirmi, realizing he's not going to pull in any chains, so his damage is better off used elsewhere. Snatty, well-timed ultimate to keep himself alive.
This has been Kirmi's MO since day one, man. I remember the first time I saw this guy in ranked, and he was just sitting on the soul laner for 40 solid minutes. And it's good to see that he's able to transition that playstyle into
laner?
competitive. I was, and I hated every second of it, Dave. Thanks for making me relive that. But this pressure on the solo side of the map is kind of making Gold Fury a non-factor in this game. Both teams have the potential to burn it pretty quickly, but neither really wanted to threaten towards it. Instead, they're taking a much more safe approach in neutral fights in solo.
Oh, look at this play from Oceans. He's going to go aggressive onto Baron area underneath the tier 1 tower. Beads used. It's going to root down onto Kiki. Oceans, though, still aggroing up the tower, so he might be the sacrificial lamb. He's able to leap himself away here. Bayronary grabs the kill. It's a double from the passive as the Froggy mid laner turns around too.
Yeah, name another god that's going to do that post-mortem. They don't exist. Persephone is so absolutely strong because of exactly that. Oh, you just spent all of your utility trying to kill me under my own tower? Well, my team was rotating in, and once I'm dead, I'm going to get up and kill you. And that's exactly how it goes for Baronary. Ohey need to play very cautiously around this passive. They can't look to solo dive this Persephone unless they know they have a safe route out, especially if it's going to take them that long. Froggy had 2 members rotate in to set up perfectly. Promise finds the 2-man route. Day finds essentially 6 hits with 3 shots from his ultimate. That's about as perfect as it could have gone for Froggy, barring Baronary dying, but that's within the realm of acceptable losses because of that passive.
Really the tug of war now that we're going to start to see is Baronary. It's a big spike here for him. Finished off the Divine Ruin, a little bit of extra pen to follow up here once that item is completed. But Kirmi on the other side, matching the kill total, 3-0-1 out of the jungle. Jingu Bang has been around for a lot of the fights. For this one, he'll have to disengage from it as well. But it's Kirmi exerting a lot of the kill pressure, I'd argue, from Ohey up to this point. So this Daji, a jungle pick that we haven't often seen, but maybe start to see a little bit more of. Jingu Bang will use the big ultimate over onto Wheels here, has that airstrike, but just walk himself away. Instead, more action underneath the mid lane tier 1 towers. Ohey have grouped up as 4. Take down the tower there with Snatty awaiting in the wings. This will be a collapsed on fight. Jingu Bang rotating over from the long lane as well. Kirmi pops his ultimate. Won't have the distance on the chains. Up and over goes Day to Remember. Looking down for some snipes here. Kiki trying to disengage. Pops his ultimate as well. Snatty, he's found the first kill of this fight. This is what Froggy had been looking for. Jingu Bang rotates through. Gets the second kill of the fight. Oceans has to leap himself away. But now it's the tower dive from Froggy that'll pay off. A double kill suddenly for the Froggy jungler. Right when I'm talking about how it's the opposite that had all the kill pressure.
And now it's going to be a gold free as well. Ohey need to play a little bit more cautiously on the map. Again, they decide to push down this tier 1 mid tower because they see the attempted gank on the duo lane. They had the rotation path from their soul laner getting there much more quickly. But after they cleared out that tower, they spent a little bit too much time kind of dancing around the 4v2 in mid, allowing for Froggy to completely rout them. We saw Snatty come in from behind, as did Jingu Bang. Ultimates weren't really necessary. Kirmi was forced to use the Powwow immediately to just escape out of the Sobek ultimate and use the blink for escape as well. It's just not really going to work out if you give up that kind of positional advantage to the enemy team. You got 2 people in front of you, 3 people behind you. You've been completely sandwiched. Ohey really didn't have any horse in that race at all.
Right, that's a fight where you think that maybe Ohey are feeling all right. I mean, there was a lot of utility used over in the long lane just a few moments before that. Now Jingu Bang, 3 stacks on the Rage, a Golden Blade as well. This Mercury 15 minutes in has hit a massive spike on the back end of a great fight there in the mid. So it's something Froggy have to be cautious of, likely looking towards that Erendite as his next item. So there's going to be massive damage outpouring really from both junglers here, Mifflin, and that's kind of a lot of the engage that we're seeing from both teams. Whether Kirmi can hit those Powwows, Oceans, of course, the supports I think have a big role to play as well, but Bayronary, maybe with that mid lane ultimate, provides the extra boost that Froggy have to spike ahead in some of these team fights.
My eyes are completely on Jinku Bang in every single future engagement, just because with 3 stacks on the Rage, he's going to be able to act completely as a solo agent. If he lands 2 auto attacks, you can almost guarantee one of them is going to be a crit, and that's going to be enough to do 50% of Wheels' health bar, or maybe even more. Potentially get lucky, both are crits. That's just someone removed from an engagement immediately. Ohey are going to have to play around that very cautiously. They have good countermeasures. Aphrodite's Undying Love means that Kiki with the hoodie himself, not going to be a target of that aggression, or at least not easily, especially considering he's got these relics available to him as well, Beads and Aegis, then Undying Love as a Beads Aegis supplement, and whoever he connects to should be safe. It should likely be a frontliner like Hear Me, but it might be Wheels just to prevent that solo potential.
Chronic obviously does a good bit of damage as well. Bayronari is just going to toss out the ultimate here. Rips through is Jingu Bang. Won't get the kill, but Bayronari sure will. Pulled back in by Oceans are a couple of members of Froggy. And Chronic will finally grab the kill. Bayronari in the passive is going to plug down a little bit of extra damage, but it's Snatty Promise on this side of the living. It's going to do some more damage over onto Oceans. Kiki is rotated through as well. The get back, not enough to slow down Snatty. Data Remember in on the back line. The Hunter, only one of them is rotated into this fight as Wheels continues to push down in the long lane. Snatty is able to sidestep, dash away, keep himself alive. Data Remember has his ultimate if he's able to do a little bit of extra damage. Now Kiki is going to pop his ult to withstand it. A little bit more drawn out there on that engagement, but Wheels is able to take down the tier 1 tower and long.
That's a big win for Ohey, I'd say. Taking down that tower, huge. Getting that ADC to farm up, absolutely huge. Getting Ohey to disengage when the enemy ADC is there and gets to just shoot at your backs for free for approximately 15 seconds, also huge. All of that's afforded to them through the Aphrodite's healing, which is phenomenal. He hasn't even really itemized towards getting that healing much stronger. Instead, we're seeing a much more damage-centric build. Do more for the power and the mobility, Spear of the Magus, so that you can help out just shredding down anyone you decide to. This is a very aggressive-minded Aphrodite build, and I'm excited to see how well it pounds out into the late game. I expect we see a little bit of penetration come online soon, maybe a Spear of Deso to help out with the cooldown, potentially even a Rod of Tahuti to help out with that healing. Either way, Kiki with a hoodie has done a fantastic job of just remaining afloat despite all of this pressure that Froggy's been putting on him.
Well, the question has always been maybe consistent outpouring of damage from the Aphrodite, down third from last on the damage column, but Kirmi just beneath that. So maybe with those item spikes a little bit higher will be Kiki with the hoodie here in a little bit. Jingu Bang has maybe found himself another kill with the help of Snatty here. He sure has. So now Rage fully stacked, Erendite completed. Sonic Boom charged up and then canceled. You know, so much conversation around, I think, healing, auto-attacking, actives throughout this game. A couple of Cursed Onks picked up. Snatty has one over there for Froggy. Ohey answers back with one onto Oceans of their own, so well-timed in those fights might be able to limit some what the healing on either team is able to do. Froggy might need a little extra here. Kiki with the hoodie not able to turn around enough damage to really force out Data Remember. A lot of pressure pushed over in this long lane, and Froggy just say, okay, we'll take the Pyromancer on the other side of the map.
Have you noticed that Ohey have been behind for the last 10 minutes, but they've constantly been the ones looking for aggressive plays on the map? They're grouping up on Froggy's towers, they've been pushing every single fight, and they haven't been able to win out on these engagements.
Well, this is the big one for Froggy. They found a couple members of Ohey asleep at the wheel, and it's Oceans who will go down. Primal Fury now springs forth. 4v5 if Ohey want to push in on this one. 50% HP. This will be free over to Froggy. So a big pick, big fight. Now maybe the biggest lead we've seen here in this game, pushing around that 4K mark for Froggy now 20 minutes in. Right on that 4K mark. 4.1K in the XP department as well. And kind of continuing that active talk, Mifflin. 4 upgraded shells for Froggy. I mean, Wheels, of course, is a pretty big auto-attack threat. You know, Kirmi maybe a little bit, Chronic, you know, on top of it, but that is a lot of auto block stacks that Froggy's going to be building up. And then, of course, shielding is nice as well. But interesting active choice, I think.
I love it, especially considering the Daji on the enemy team. Sure, you could be worried about Wheels landing auto attacks, but since this Jingwei isn't going the crit-centric build and instead is forced, essentially, to go this more attack speed-centric build because of all those shells, I love this pickup just to prevent Daji from doing anything. The combo is Daji comes in with a 3-1 or maybe the Blink 1. Then it's 50% of your health, maybe more immediately unreactable. Shell's going to stop all of that from happening, and then you're just going to have the Daji standing in front of you who's not able to return damage. That's a free kill.
Promise uses his shell here. Now no ultimate for Kirmi. No ultimate, though, for Bayoneri or Jingu Bang on the other side. Promise close to having his back. Now maybe for the first time this game, we're finally starting to see Froggy feel a little bit more comfortable, pushing forth just a little bit, but slowing down. They haven't grouped up on this tier 1 tower over in the short lane either. That one still stands. Likely Snatty will be able to take that one down soon, but it's always this question, it's this concern where Froggy have played very, very well here. Now Snatty has maybe been caught in a bit of a lazy back, has to use his ultimate. This is a 4-man collapse from Ohey, so Snatty, no chance he gets out of that one. Oceans will pick up the kill. But this is always the concern, Mifflin, as we're building this massive lead and then not doing anything with it. And Ohey are able to pick up another kill, and actually it's the tier 1 tower against Froggy that'll fall first, all things considered.
This has been an issue at the lower levels of play for a long time in that, well, we've got the lead, what do we do with it? Maybe we keep growing it, how do we do that? Maybe a Gold Fury off a team fight, but instead Froggy just aren't really playing proactively and allow Ohey at a deficit again to push down another tower.
God, Bayoneri feels like he can't do any more there. He's trying to run away, uses the Aegis, not the B tier. Oceans will finally get the kill, blinked on by a lot of people there. Ohey, though, are going to pull back in a couple thanks to the Palaus. Froggy, though, have enough damage to turn around one onto Kirmi. A nice root there from Promise. We'll slow this one down, but a get back from range from Kiki, attached, of course, over to Oceans, will pick up the kill. 2-for-1 trade. Jingu Bang rotating in behind. Sonic Boom will spiral around one. There are your crits. Aegis has to get used by Kiki here. Jingu Bang has been let off the leash, and he's got himself a double kill. The chase is on, but he turns himself around and leaves a little bit extra over to Day to remember. Look at this rotation as Day will grab the kill there. Oh, hey, they've overstayed, and now Froggy start up the FG.
It's been that way since minute 0. Ohey, get an objective. Oh, we took the tier 1 tower. We got a pick on a Snatty. Fantastic. Let's stick around for another hour and allow Jingu Bang to rotate in with his full build and one-shot all of us. I don't think Ohey should feel confident in any single engagement, no matter how many trades they get. If it's a 2-for-0 or a 3-for-0, I don't want Ohey to feel good unless one of those 3 is Jingu Bang, because we just saw what he's capable of doing, especially considering all the relics were still available on that Aphrodite. Beads, Aegis comes through, he gets backed up by a shell. None of it matters because he still dies, and Jingu Bang gets to walk out at full health and get a Fire Giant on the tail end of it. Ohey need to pick their targets a little bit better.
Well, maybe, you know, we're too harsh on Froggy here. They haven't necessarily been pushing their lead, but they know, and we've gotten this vibe since minute 1, that Ohey is going to continue to press in, maybe regardless of how far behind it feels like they are. So Froggy are just biding their time. Maybe they give one away, realizing Ohey are going to overextend, and now grab themselves a Fire Giant. I think right here, though, Mifflin, is really where we need to get the vibe from Froggy and how they're going to be able to close this game out. They are 7 and some change thousand gold ahead. They have 3 members with Fire Giant, maybe the most important ones with Day to Remember, Jingu Bang, and of course Snatty. So tower damage abound for these guys. Now is when I think we need to see this aggressive push. Let's get some objective control on the Ohey side of the map.
They could just clear out some towers, back up to Gold Fury, and that 7,000 gold lead will very quickly balloon up to 10, 11,000. But I imagine they are going to be looking for a Phoenix, and their siege potential is incredibly strong. Snatty finds a pluck. Oh, that's a kill. Promise decides to just run in and drop his ultimate. Ohey's going to have to run away because with this deficit, Terra ult might just do 20% of your health bar.
Look at Ohey's respect here towards Jingu Bang. They just see that Sonic Boom charged up and they immediately have to back off. I mean, wherever Jingu Bang ends up, if it's a squishy target in the back, they're going to get absolutely deleted here. Rounds out his build with the Poison Star and then a Blood Forge as the Assassin's Blessing is dropped off there. So you talk about not only this initial engagement and the ability to delete a backline target, now with that Blood Forge, you're going to be able to continue fighting. You know, you're going to maybe be a little low as everyone from Ohey turns around. That extra shielding is going to be big, and the Poison Star is going to help put him in a position for Jingu Bang to finish off.
If they come into this Gold Fury, Dave, I'm completely tilted. Ohey is nearly 10,000 gold down. There's Fire Giant on 3. I'm happy that they're showing a little bit of presence, but had they walked in, they very likely lose the game there. And it's still surprising to see them grouped up around this Tier 2 tower. 1 or 2, maybe 3 auto attacks will take it down, and now they're all out of position.
Oh no, Wheels locked down, able to jump himself away. Ocean's trying to peel the front line. The fight is on now from Froggy. Up to the sky goes Day to Remember, looking for that final snipe, unable to find it, so Oceans gets out alive. Now Chronic has to leap himself away as well. Fully on the retreat is Ohey, but Snatty has gotten the kill onto Kiermi. Froggy starting to crack the base of Ohey. The Fountain, maybe the only bit of safety that Froggy is going to have. Mid lane Phoenix being looked at.
But they are a little bit low. Snatty's very susceptible to death here. I'd be surprised to see this push come through, especially considering Ohey were able to regroup at full health. All ultimates have been used in the game, full stop. The majority of Ohey's actives are down as well. Froggy could very easily back up, clear out this Pyromancer, use this time to sustain, regroup, at least take down the tier 2 tower on right, go back to base, reset for Fire Giant. But I imagine we'll see them just go back to farming instead, clear out just the Pyromancer, play it a little bit more safely. Don't want to take any sort of risk going forward. And that whole siege happens because Ohey decided to really dig their heels in around a already dead tier 2 tower. We saw that immediately. Ocean stepped up, lost 50% of his health bar, and then the rest of his team is forced to retreat without any frontliners standing between them and the damage output of Froggy. And the entire time, they got their tails tucked firmly between their legs, and that Phoenix falls as they're just trying to heal up in base. Had they decided to just sit on the Phoenix, they'd had a much easier time at least trying to keep the base completely intact. But instead, they lost the fight before they were even allowed to play it.
Well, Fire Giant will finally shut off there. Ohey left towerless and Phoenixless over in the long lane. Froggy's going to set up some control around this FG. Won't be enhanced for another 2 minutes and 15 seconds here or so as the clock continues to count up. So, Ohey at least 2 minutes away from complete disaster. Froggy gets that enhanced Fire Giant. You know, what looks real bad is going to look a lot worse if Froggy's able to lock that one down. Now, this is where things get interesting, though, Mifflin, is kind of the bait that Froggy has the ability to pull out. Jingu Bang just walking around with his Sonic Boom charged up. If Ohey even poke their head in to check, you know, they have the ability to immediately get engaged upon by Froggy.
Yeah, Ohey shouldn't check. They shouldn't be going to this Fire Giant at all. I think it was a 13,000 gold deficit right there. The hardest Phoenix to defend is already down, that long side Phoenix.
Right.
They should be pushing out those waves so they can set up and try and defend on those other Phoenixes without having to worry about fire minions coming into their base. But it seems like, again, from the positioning that we're seeing, Ohey are stepping forward. They're looking to take this team fight. It's a very Hail Mary play if they do decide to defend.
Right.
Sure, you might be able to steal it away. You might get 1 or 2 kills, but I don't think Ohey even think themselves that they'll be able to win the team fight outright. But it does seem like instead they are going to be pushing down that long lane with Wheels being over there.
Yep. And we're right back into game here with Froggy taking down the Fire Giant. So still standard FG, buff-wise. Now, if Froggy are able to find this fight, though, that's when disaster could strike. Baronary looking for the ultimate will get caught on the wall. So Ohey safe from this one. But Ocean's no longer safe. Kiermi has to use his ultimate. Day to Remember gets the kill onto the Cerberus. Pulls back in one, though, is Kiermi with the Pal but Jingu Bang's there on the chase. Down goes Kiermi. Now it's Chronic, Kiki, and Wheels left on the defense. Right side Phoenix looking nervous.
Yeah, they got 50% of the strat there. They pushed out long lane, but they weren't ready for the Phoenix defense, and now they're going to have to take it 3 versus 5. They weren't winning 5 versus 5. Good luck, boys.
Yeah, good luck, Ohey, and good luck now that you've lost Wheels. Kiki being chased down by Snatty. No pluck ready, so into the fountain goes Kiki. Chronic has to go up and over as well. I think Froggy, they just look towards the Titan here, pour out their damage. Ohey not able to say much about it. Titan falls, and Froggy, they capitalize on an early lead in 30 minutes and take game number 1.
I think you really hit the nail on the head there. They capitalized that entire game. It was very opportunistic play because it seemed like Ohey was very willing to just dig their own grave every single time Froggy won a team fight. It's off of Ohey pushing a tower, or Ohey moving towards the gold tree, or Ohey looking for an invade. Froggy at no point in the early game had to play proactively. They could just react to whatever Ohey was doing and win out on every single fight. Sure, Ohey had a couple of early game leads off of a couple kills, but it didn't really amount to anything. Whereas Froggy just won every team fight.
Look at the comparative difference between the hunters in this game. 20,000 damage for Day to Remember, 9k damage for Wheels out of that long lane. So you want to look, maybe the biggest difference, it's there. But I think really where we started to see the gap widen in this early to mid game is absolutely out of this jungle role. Kiermi started off hot, lots of pressure over into the solo lane. But Jinku Bang, that one fight where he got a few stacks on his rage, left the rest in the rearview mirror.
I mean, this is it right here. He's completely allowed to do whatever he wants in the enemy backline. This is the fight where Ohey decided to push down a tier 1, then immediately move into the tier 2, allowing Jinku Bang to rotate all the way from duo back over to solo and get involved in this team fight. And I think this Jingwei, the most I've seen from her in this entire set so far was in that clip. That's the most attention she's garnered from me because she wasn't in any of the team fights. Day was constantly rotating into pyro fights, gold fights, whereas Wheels was more likely to be pushing a wave or pushing down a tower than anything else.
I mean, difficult, obviously, when you have Jinku Bang sonic booming into your backline effectively every single fight, but that's why you pick Jingwei. She's safe. You can airstrike away and then return into the fight if need be. Unable to convert some good early fighting are Ohey, and Froggy will take game number 1. Now you start to look at some of the priority that we saw, Mifflin. I think my big takeaway, and it wasn't even a pick, is that Cthulhu fell to that second wave of bans there in game number 1, so maybe different prioritization now as far as the solo lane goes, a Sobek versus Tyr matchup, not a couple of gods we usually get to see going toe-to-toe with one another, so I wonder maybe where the solo lane starts to go here in this phase.
Yeah, I was also curious about that Cthulhu 6th ban situation. And it seems like recently the SMITE community at large has realized that Cthulhu is not an instant win god, at least in Conquest. You get a ton of pressure, you get a ton of healing, you get all these really good things, but he doesn't really have that solo carry potential that you would expect out of a priority pick like that. Whereas other gods that do get these top pick positions, Persephone, Yamoja, Hercules, these are all that can completely dominate a game on their own. I think Cthulhu might be a little bit too much of a slow starter for a lot of these teams that want to prioritize him in the first 3 picks.
It is interesting, right? I mean, like at that SPA level, and this is totally to your point, where you know, Cthulhu is amazing at absorbing all of this damage, but if you don't have the follow-up from elsewhere while all the eyes are turned on him, he just dies, and then the rest of the fight is a 4v5. So interesting starting to see some of the meta shift around him. What could be someone in the solo lane conversation, though, I'd argue we've seen more Mulan support than we have seen her solo. Is this Mulan? But first pick overall here for Ohey, not expected to see that.
Yeah, that is incredibly interesting, and Mulan is one of the most flexible picks in the game. Sure, support where we most often see her, soul lane in that secondary role, but tertiary pick, Mulan Jungle has seen some success in ranked recently, and Ohey is a bunch of ranked players. They play that scene incredibly well. We might be able to see it go there, and keeping the flex picks rolling, soul coming through, could go into mid, could go into the long lane, more likely going to that long lane. I like this soul pick a lot. I got to talk to Meerkat about it, and he told me that he thinks that as far as magical hunters go, that soul brings some of the most pressure because of that ability-centric build towards the early game. Soul's second ability is one of the few in the game that is very reliable to hit the entire wave, and it's fantastic poke potential. She's got healing in lane so that you can constantly look for trades. But over the Ola run, I would never do it myself, Dave. I agree completely, but maybe that's the strategy. Look for pressure in the early game, hope that it's Ola run versus Soul, and Soul should be able to win out in pre-5.
Look, I love being able to dissect stuff like this. Like, why are you prioritizing a Soul over Ola run? Obviously, they do different things well, I think. You know, the ability-based conversation, absolutely one that needs to be had around this Soul. But Sanctified Field is just so good. I mean, regardless of what you're picking other magical hunters for, I think you get a good Sanctified Field, and the rest is kind of history as far as that team fight goes. So something to keep our eyes on here, the Soul priority over the Ola run, for sure. Now, King Arthur being locked in, Mifflin, that maybe lends us to believe that while Mulan could be support or jungle, if nothing else, probably King Arthur there on that solo lane.
One can only hope, Dave. King Arthur really is best role inside of solo, so I think you're right to at least identify that this Mulan is much more likely to go into the other two, which should have helped out Froggy a little bit, taking a peek at their bans. It seems like they might be thinking it's going into the support. They decided to ban out Hebo, a pretty prolific jungler right now, and Camazotz could go into solo, could go into jungle. Seems like Froggy are getting a little bit flexible with their bans as well. And then Hades comes out from Ohey. So that's likely going to be a Hades mid with a Soul Hunter and King Arthur in the solo lane. And that's very susceptible to ganks. If Olarun decides to go into mid and Hades ever jumps on a wave ever, Sanctified Field is just going to murder that man.
Look, I love it. When I say I love it, I mean I can't wait to watch it. I don't know if I love it as far as strategy goes, but this style of play, I just love to watch. It's these interesting picks, the fringe picks. You got to get aggressive. You got to get creative with it. And hey, realizing that their composition in game 1 maybe fell a little flat, are going to throw something at the dartboard and see if they can turn it around in game number 2 against Froggy. The Rom Khepri long lane there for Froggy, I think, one that we started to see a little bit more frequently. The Khepri obviously will provide massive utility, not only in the Scarab's Blessing, a little bit of setup there as well. You get the abduct, the old pullback, the root for a little extra damage as well. So do you like that Khepri paired with the Rom in the long lane?
I love it. I love that draft in general. It's standard Smite. I think if you look at both drafts, it's very clear which team won out. But instead, we see that Ohey are deciding to go for this very pressure-centric composition. So maybe instead of playing traditional Smite, they're looking to win in the pre-10 minutes. Chronic should have pressure over this Achilles. Kirmi is one of the highest pressure junglers in the game, barring Robin, which is on the enemy team. Kiki on this Hades is going to be able to run down lane pretty easily. Level 2, able to one-shot a wave. Oceans and Wheels together. Mulan brings a ton of kill potential into the long lane. And Wheels being a magical hunter, one of the best at clearing waves. That should be a bit of pressure there as well. But if this game goes to a team fight 5-on-5 ever, I think you would be foolish to vote against Froggy.
Right, that's an SPL draft, right? I mean, what we see from Froggy is one you could see a team at the SPL level locking in for sure, through and through. And now Ohey have the creativity factor, as I've mentioned, and for that reason alone, I'm in. I'll buy some equity in that composition for sure. But intrigued is separate from confident, maybe here at this point. You're hanging a lot, maybe at this point, Mifflin, on Ohey on this long lane doing well. I think there is a good example of what we talk about with this soul, the ability to kind of hit that entire wave with that big expanding ability. And look at the strategy they're going for here. They're going to leave Wheels there, get level 2 on his own, and they're actually going to send Oceans around to jungle, and already leaving that solo lane on its own. Or long lane, rather.
It is interesting, and take a peek at Oceans' build as well. He's going for the Assassin's Blessing. I think we saw this from Inbound recently in the SPL, and he is going to play that secondary jungler role. He's going to try and allow this soul to free farm the lane as much as he can. I think Oceans' main target of farm is likely going to be the Alpha Harpy, the Purple Buff, and the duo side back camps. That's really where he's going to be looking the majority of the time to just stay afloat. Whereas Wheels is going to get a lot of solo farm to himself, which should allow him to outscale Baroneri, insofar as Promise doesn't decide to adjust his strategy to make up for that fact that he doesn't really want to be splitting way too much. Either way, it's an interesting strategy, but it's still, again, all or nothing, and it's so execution heavy. Ocean's going to have to play just about perfect if he doesn't want to fall too far behind.
Oceans has, at least for the moment, returned to the long lane, so we'll see what that rotation looks like here if he goes all the way back to those back Harpies, maybe for a little extra farm, and is going to leave Wheels alone here for the moment. So you assume on cooldown, Oceans is going to start to spring out, keep Wheels at a point where he's comfortable in this lane. The question then arises in kind of the counter rotation there from Promise. Do you imagine you start to see some of this where Promise also says, all right, if Oceans isn't here, I don't want my hunter to fall behind. Maybe I'll start to rotate, but clearly not as much clear potential on this Khepri, so I think it's an interesting position that Promise is in.
Yeah, Promise has a hard decision to make as well because he doesn't go for the Assassin's Blessing himself. He can't really farm the jungle nearly as efficiently.
Right.
So instead, he would have to go into mid, and you don't want to leech farm from your Ola run. I think you're much happier leeching farm from the Rom. So I think his only real strategy is play the duo lane completely standard. Sit over here, potentially look to see if you can exploit this kill potential in the 2 versus 1 situation, and then around level 5, level 6, then rotate in the mid, see what you can do around that. Or you could decide to play around your jungler, and it seems like Ohey have decided immediately, or Froggy rather, have decided to put pressure onto that solo lane. If we see Promise start to rotate around and try and match Jinku Bang's pace, that could be all right. Robin has a very strong early game, not the best late.
Opening engagement now onto Baroneri, who will end up falling, and it's Kiki who gets the first kill of the game. There's the collapse, that pseudo second jungler in behind the mid laner, and Baroneri, no sanctified field just yet. Ohey on the board first, and that's Kiki.
but it seems like they're not done just yet. Ohey have never gotten just a small win and not look for even more. Move up into the red buff, weren't quite able to confirm themselves a steal, but I like the strategy from Ohey. Again, we saw that there was no clue from Baronary that Oceans was rotating in. How could they know? Oceans has been in the jungle for the majority of the game, and that's the first real gank attempt, and that might be one of the strengths of having your, I'm going to call it Jungle 2. He's got Assassin's Blessing. We're not calling him support anymore.
Or Jungle
That's
Squared,
the
right.
strength of having a secondary jungler, is that nowhere on the map is safe. One jungler is on the duo side of the map, one's on the solo side. You'd be constantly worried in mid, already one of the roles most susceptible to ganks anyway, and you've got to deal with the pressure that's coming out from the mid laner itself inside of this Hades. It's a very interesting strategy from Ohey, but one kill makes not for a lead. This first one's got them about 500 gold up. They're going to need a lot more to get value from this draft.
Uh-oh, Jingu Bang blinks forward. That's the up-down, unable to connect on the damage, so Chronic stays alive here. We have seen Snatty bullying out Chronic a good bit. Not often we get to say that, Bifflin. A King Arthur being out-bullied here in the solo lane. Achilles, of course, been popular pick here as of late. I hesitate just to see what Kiermi's rotation looks like here. Blue buff is going to spawn soon. So a little bit of an invade potential now. He will be sought out, though. So Kiermi having to think maybe twice about the way he wants to play this.
It looks like the fight's ensuing instead. Kiermi immediately has to use his ultimate, the 9 turns blessing.
There's the taunt right back in, but the Scarab's blessing over the wall, and that'll keep Snatty alive this time around. Kiermi on the chase. Promise there for the body blocks. The damage there. The Khepri, maybe the sacrificial bug this time around, and it's Oceans who now strikes for the first time this game. Assisted on the earlier kill, and it's a blue buff invade gone right. Ohey get their second kill.
And again, the Jungle 2 is on the opposite side of the map, and this entire time allowing Wheels to free farm that long lane. I love the playstyle.
Baronary has to drop the Sanctified Fields here. Oceans is going to pull back in Jingu Bang. This could be the 4th kill of the game for Ohey, and Jingu Bang will overhead kick his way out there alive. Nowhere on the map is safe now at the moment. Oceans has been all over the place. They gave him the red buff, and he has made it work, affecting all 3 of the kills. Kiki has got a couple.
And Oceans, instead of going to that traditional tank boots build, or maybe even something a little bit more defensive, immediately goes into Warriors tab I. I'll be interested to see how he decides to build the rest of his build, whether or not he wants to really commit to being the secondary jungler, or if we will see the Thebes come out from him. I'm also really excited to see which direction we see King Arthur go. I imagine it's going to be a Soul Eater next. Good luck sustaining or even fighting into him, Snatty, if that's the case.
That's right. Chronic received an earlier gank there, and that's going to pull him 1 level out in the lead. So I think, you know, maybe a moment actually to talk about this King Arthur, maybe why we haven't seen him as much, and what type of impact he's going to be able to have. I mean, we know he does massive damage. We have seen this god run away with games controlling these fights. Do you think he still carries that same potential in a game like this?
I think so, certainly, and King Arthur actually has an interesting matchup into any team comp that has a Khepri on it. If you use the ultimate in that fully charged state where you're able to remove the enemy god from the playfield, as a last-hit maneuver, as long as that Scarab's Blessing wasn't already on that target, there's no way for Khepri to target him out and get that revive, so it could act as a pseudo-execute if Chronic is able to play around it incredibly well. Instead of going for the Soul Eater, though, it looks like it's going to be the Stone of Gaia pickup for King Arthur. Should help out a lot in sustain, but not so much in damage.
Yeah, he wishes he had a little extra damage here. Might be able to get the kill anyway. Stunned down. Kiermi here blinks forward, looking for the root and the taunt. Won't hit the root, but will hit the kill. Down goes Snatty for the first time this game. Now Kiermi, the junglers, that's plural, for Ohey are starting to pull this game further and further in their favor. It's a 2,500 gold lead, 7.5 minutes in. Ohey looking for a little bit more now on a Jingu Bang. Damage from Oceans enough. 9 turns blessing in. Jingu Bang there. He's received the Scarab's Blessing this time around. Right back into the waiting arms of promise. But there's the Abduct, and Baronary now gets himself on the board. Ohey fly a little too close to the sun.
That's the tough part about Mulan Ultimate. He wants to use it aggressive there, has to maneuver himself between the Tier 1 and Tier 2. You're stuck for about 2 seconds shooting a spear and an arrow on the tail end of it.
Sanctified Field this time is going to buy a little bit of time. The shell there used by Promise as well, just as an insurance policy. Maybe good now to check over in on this long lane. Wheels has been left alone since minute 1, and That's transformed itself into about a 1-level lead here over Data Remember.
And it's going to continue to get worse before it gets better. He doesn't have the Ring of Akate yet, hasn't built into Typhon's Fang either. He's got a Tier 2 ring and a Tier 1 Typhon's Fang. His lifesteal is pretty strong at this point. It's not going to be easy for Day to really win out on an engagement, especially if Wheels has that passive charged up. But it might be the best time to start looking for ganks over there if you're on Froggy. Day's going to want a little bit of assistance. You don't want to allow Wheels to free farm the entirety of the game. It is their magical hunter. But so far, the pressure from Ohey has been so inordinate on that solo side of the map that it's forced Froggy to respond over there, and they can't really dedicate any of their time to addressing Wheels.
All right, the big difference here that's been born from this early pressure is the 2-level difference from Oceans to Promise. So obviously the scale's tipping towards Oceans and what he's been able to provide, but it's effectively a 1-level lead everywhere else on the map. So this is a situation where Ohey are obviously going to feel comfortable maybe starting up some of these objectives, especially around this Gold Fury, unless Wheels goes down. And that's what we're looking at here. Jingu Bang has found his way forward, looks for the blink. It's the zap right there. Oh, but he sidesteps the up-down. Wheels stays alive, drops down the ultimate. Jingu Bang gets the kill, but at the cost of his own life. Well played by Wheels. Does end up dying in the meantime. Ocean's unable to follow up the KA ult with the stun there, but it might not matter as Snatty has to use his execute. Oh my god, he stays alive and gets the kill. Chronic will finally put him down. What a play by Snatty. That is chaos all over the map, and it's looking like a 2 for 2.
What a nutty execute. I mean, the tower shot has to come in at the perfect time to put you into the threshold for it. He used it to escape. Snatty turns what was a terrible situation into a 1-for-1 trade on that side of the map. They get a 1-for-1 on the other side of the map as well. My heart goes out to Jingu Bang because he's going to have to go back to the jungle and collect his ankles as they are just completely shattered in 19 pieces scattered throughout. Wheels has a fantastic juke using the zap rate to completely ruin Jingu Bang's day. Interesting fights across the board, but it doesn't really amount to anything for either team, since it really is just a net 2 for 2.
You start to look at that small dip, though. I mean, it's almost nothing to write home about. I mean, Ohey still in the lead, 4,500 X, or 3,500 XP rather, still 2,500 in the gold department. Pressure still on Snatty. My goodness, this guy's not had a chance to breathe this game. Chronic. One final sweep there would have gotten the kill. The damage was nearly there. Jingu Bang now is going to rotate through, but it's a Tier 1 tower taken down. So not surprising that Ohey, especially after what we saw in Game 1, is going to push, especially when they have themselves a lead. Nice dodge there from Day to Remember. As Oceans is bearing down in on him. Has his ultimate, should he need to disengage, but he also has a good bit of damage here. I wonder if he looks maybe for some snipes. There's a rotate through from Froggy here. Rolls on in. Uses the ultimate up to the skies. Nice he shot. Goes. One final shot down to Ocean will be there. Oceans has to use his ultimate, and Jingu Bang will hit the damage and get rid of Oceans. Finally, they're able to buy some breathing room.
But Ohey are not willing to take a 0 for 1. They're going to continue looking for the fight.
Wow, and Kiki gets the kill there through the Sanctified Fields. But he's taken so low, and Bayronary has the damage. Kirmi abducted right back into the fight. The shell is going to buy some time. It's a double kill for Bayronary as we stand. Wheels is going to stay alive thanks to the ultimate from Chronic here, but Snatty is going to come right back down and snag it for himself. It's a King Arthur against 3 here. There's the silence. There's the abduct, but a double stun. That's the damage you look for with the King Arthur as he spins himself away. The execute up and over, and Snatty has his second of the fight.
And Gold Fury is now available. Only one member alive on Ohey to defend it. It's going to be Oceans without the ultimate. And this is what we were saying last game. Ohey continually looking for that pressure. Froggy say, oh, word, you're in my base, you're in my jungle, I don't care, I'll kill you. And it just works out that way. Ohey started off with a fantastic dive. They're able to get the kill. They're able to get the tower. Then they immediately try to move into the red buff. They try and invade the purple buff. They try to move in towards the Gold Fury. They need to be willing to take small wins. It seems like Ohey is only looking for the big cash out. They're looking for the 777 easy big dub millionaire victory instead of just building up Rome. You know, you got to go one step at a time. But instead, it seems like they want to win now.
Look at the player damage charts there as well. 8.7 thousand for Snatty, 1,500 higher than Chronic, who's been receiving a lot of pressure from Kirmi. And then just below that, I think, is the massive cliff. Bayronary in these last few fights has been pivotal for Froggy. Done huge things And this Hades in the mid lane, I think, raised some eyebrows. We wondered what we would see. Obviously got help from a gank early on in this game, 3-1 and 2, so it has at least looked good. But you talk about the comparative difference in some of these fights, and this Oleron has started to run away with this mid lane matchup.
He really is. We've seen a lot more from the Oleron inside of engagements because he is in that middle lane. I'll be interested to see how much we see come out from Wheels once he's able to rotate into these team fights. So far, Chronic with the Stone of Gaia build has still been a complete menace in the backline. Has dropped a couple of kills because he doesn't have too much power inside of that build, but his sustained potential, his ability to just sit in front of the enemy team and stand there and withstand all the damage and heal up and re-engage and continually create space for his team has been a huge factor for Ohey, which is partially the reason that despite losing out 4 members and a gold Fury, they've still got a small gold lead.
That's right, and they're still the ones that are putting out the pressure onto Froggy, who are going to have to back themselves away here. Chronic rotating over from that solo lane. Large spike there in the player damage, by the way. He was 1,500 behind, but one big trade into Snatty only puts him about 1,000 behind. It's about 1,000 damage trade there from King Arthur, so not all that surprising maybe from what we know that God able to do. Jingu Bang blinks forward. Wheels has to use his disapparate and the ultimate as well. Snipes from Day to Remember. Waiting on the other end. Aegis well timed by Wheels, so he'll survive. At least the initial onslaught. Kirmi, though, rotates over. And down goes Day. Jingu Bang blinked on as well. That's the stun from Oceans to lock down this Robin. And Kiki will dash right back in. A 2-kill swing for Ohey.
Jingu Bang looked a little bit lost on that. It seemed like he wanted to help his boy Day out, but instead he just kind of backpedals holding S and loses his life as well.
Bayronary, you gotta go big here, man. And that is the Sanctified Fields to help him out. Snatty's gotten the killing spree going over onto Chronic. Oceans gets the kill onto Promise, though, and now a double. But Snatty's still alive, has a double of his own, and Bayronary somehow stays alive. It's right now a 1 versus 2 if Snatty can stay alive. There's a little bit of healing from himself here. The stun connects with the wall from the Oceans. The sidestep's not enough. A big fight for Oceans, and it's a deicide for Ohey 15 minutes in.
But luckily for Froggy, they were able to clear out that wave, so it's going to be very difficult for Ohey to really move in towards this tier 2 tower. Gold Fury's already dead as well, and because of the staggered deaths, the jungler and the ADC from Froggy, it seems like Ohey already realized they can't look for more. They can't move in towards that red buff. They couldn't check those back camps because Froggy's already respawning and moving in. Bayronary does a good job in that team fight, just staying alive under his tier 2 tower, eventually able to return so much damage onto the enemy solo laner, or jungler rather, Kirmi, that it returns the kill through that tower shot on the tail end of it. But that dive potential that we saw from Ohey is so absolutely strong. Even into a sanctified field, Bayronary is constantly under pressure. Froggy needed to do a much better job of keeping their hyper carry alive.
Right, and a lot of it, you know, we've mentioned that Kiki doesn't have this massive damage. I mean, really only above 4 or 5 on the damage charts, but has that pull-in potential, of course, with his ultimate, the silence. Is it aggro that thinks the 2-second fear or the silence is the strongest in the game, and Hades has got it. So, you know, the utility is absolutely there for Kiki to start up these fights, maybe catch out some of the backline, especially now for the next minute or so. Bayronary doesn't have his relics.
Look, Dave, you're casting with me, man. I don't want to see aggro coming out of your mouth
for
another
I know, but
20 minutes at least, all right? We're talking about us today, Dave, but you are right.
All right, you and I, you're right.
One, he loves it. Yeah, he loves that ability. It's a good fear, but compared to something else,
do you love the ability?
About good CC, I do. You know what? I do. And I hate to say it because aggro loves it too, but let's compare it to something else, like Taunt. It's the exact same cone ability, but it's going to deal a little bit less. But Kiki right now has been getting a ton of value out of it. He's able to move into the backline. We saw him use it on Bayronary inside that tier 2 tower and completely disrupt that Sanctified Field damage from coming through. It's been clean play so far. Match it with a Polynomicon, you've got a huge burst.
Big fight. Ohey takes down the Oni Fury this time around, but it's Oceans who's abducted right back in. Should be a free kill for Froggy, and it is this time around, but the chase is now on. Snatty has plenty of damage his own to chase down the Ohey mid laner. A bit split here, blinks exchanged, disengaged this time around, snipes down, just tickle some damage over onto Ohey. So Froggy lose the Oni Fury, but now maybe get some map pressure with Oceans down.
I like the play style from Ohey there. They immediately decided, okay, we can do this objective, let's disengage, which is very counter to what we've seen from them before. Usually it's, we got the objective, now we can fight. But unfortunately for them, Froggy was able to return a kill onto Oceans and now can very likely even move in towards this tier 2 tower.
Did remember a chance to plug down some damage, clear out these waves, start off this fight on the right foot. Jingu Bang being chased. Kirmi, no 9 turns blessing to start off here. Snatty has been plugged down for about half of his HP, has to use the ultimate to leave the fight. Chronic, though, moves in, gets Bayronary. Sanctified Field, traps in 3, but it's the Scarab's Blessing, and they're going to keep Bayronary alive just for a moment. Well juggled there by Ohey, but Kiki ends up going down. They spent too much time waiting there. Look at the disengage now from Promise. He's so low. The root onto Oceans keeps the Khepri alive. A 1-for-1 trade in the mid.
That fight has to go better for Froggy if they don't completely split up in the jungle. It allowed Ohey to manufacture some fights where they're actually ahead despite being down a member. Kirmi and Chronic chase out Snatty in the jungle. They chase out whoever they can, and we're able to deal an immense amount of damage and force Froggy to take a fight on the back foot. I would have liked to see them stay grouped up as 5, potentially put some pressure onto the tier 2 tower, or at least look for poke. If they get enough damage and force a TKO, they could have backed up towards this Pyromancer, but now it's going to be Ohey in the advantageous positioning around it.
Right, Pyromancer now started up here. Fire Giant, maybe the next objective we start to look at here. Wheels has reached that point. Typhon's Fang, Ring of Akate as well. Little Pen, ability-based to round out. That's sort of what we see with these souls when you look at the build. Bayronary as well at a very strong point. Instead of the Pen ability item, going to go for another ring to tack on there. So the meta of the magical hunters, we're going to get a good head-to-head look here in maybe these next big fights. And it's kind of down to Mifflin if Bayronary can survive that initial dive.
I think that you are completely right, but they've got to draft around surviving that initial dive. They've got a very strong front line inside of Snatty and Jingu Bang. The peel potential in the back line from this Khepri. I mean, talk about surviving one initial engagement. Scarab's Blessing is going to do that for you on its own. You don't even have to play properly as long as Promise is aiming that ultimate at you. So I think it's going to be a very steep hill for Ohey to climb up if they want to take a 5-on-5 engagement. I think, if anything, we'll see them look for scattered engagements throughout the map, maybe even targeting out Promise and see if they can find a pick onto him, at least force out that Scarab's Blessing before they really start to group up around the Fire Giant or this next gold for you, wherever they decide to take this next team fight.
It's Frenzy for Oceans, and then on the other side, a Cursed Ankh for Promise are the second 2 actives out of these supports. So both team fight altering in their own right. Still Ohey, with about that 1,500 gold lead, continuing to push pressure over here on this side of the map. I think Kiki has done a good job. We've maybe touched on the lower damage numbers, but continued in these fights, doing his job in locking down, peeling, setting up some of the fight for the rest of his team. Kirmi looking for the red buff here. 9 turns Blessing, though, used. Won't find anything as Jingu Bang has to trade out his ultimate to escape.
And Ohey are continually looking for pressure on the map. I like the playstyle of looking for the more safe objective. This tier 1 mid tower will be a huge map swing as well, and it's not nearly as dangerous as Fire.
Abduct right back through onto Chronic here. Kiki awaiting in the wing. Sanctified Field on the back end of this fight here, and down goes Chronic. Ohey left their solo laner for the tier 1 tower. Now it's Froggy who are on the chase. They did have to spend maybe the biggest team fight ultimate in that Sanctified Field, but Snatty blinks right back through. The turn is there. Oceans is going to knock down Bayronary. Kiki is going to pull some back through as Wheels gets the kill this time around, but Data, remember, he's still alive, pouring out damage. So is Snatty as well. It's a killing spree for Day. Froggy, you thought they were swept, but it's the exact opposite. Now Ohey, full-on retreat. Data, remember, being looked at. Double kill now for the ROM. Wheels trying to make it a third, and Data, remember, has got it. Deicide for Froggy, 22 minutes in.
Man, Day is just better. Just put a greater sign next to his name because he was able to perfectly maneuver around that team fight, finds the damage, looks for the perfect re-engagements. Ohey make a very heads-up, big-brain 5-head play of popping the Frenzy, then immediately sending all members at a complete 180 turn at the enemy team. Unfortunately for them, Froggy seemed like they were just about ready for it, despite Promise not quite able to find the ultimate onto that priority target. It looked like he was looking for Bayronary, but it landed on a Jingu Bang and didn't really get anything from it. Now Chronic's going to try and take Fire Giant off at least one.
He will at least find it onto one, realizing that Data, remember, has too much damage to turn around. So Snatty now down for the next 50 seconds, and how impactful really is that, though? I mean, you look at Ohey, they've got themselves the respawns in the next 5 seconds fully reinforced, but That's a good, 35 seconds milked off of this FG buff, so it's actually a pretty meaningful pick maybe for Chronic.
It could be pretty huge. I think it's more so just about getting that buff than it really is the timer, because Froggy can immediately look to clear out their own jungle or move in towards a neutral objective, but with Ohey putting pressure on the map like this, that's one way to really get some value out of that lead.
And we're really chasing down Bayroneri here. Their Sanctified Field Scarab's Blessing as well is going to keep him alive. Two big utility ultimates now traded out by Froggy. Chronic hanging close by. Ohey continuing to exert pressure, realizing that Snatty won't be in the fight. Small numbers advantage there. And you got a lot for that engagement. Sanctified Field, long cooldown. Same with the Scarab's Blessing, so Ohey got to be happy with that small engagement.
I'm looking at Ohey's positioning on the map, and every bone in my body is making me think they're going to be looking for the aggressive play here. Sure, they've got a little bit of time to work with, especially if Froggy's going to show himself on the other side of the map, Jinku Bang rather. So now they can get the gold 3 for free, even though they're fighting into a 4-man fire giant. It seems like Froggy are playing the map incredibly well, but now Day is completely out of position, and no one's in range to help him.
Kiki moving in on the Day to Remember. No ultimate channel this time. Another big pick. 1 minute on the death timer for who has been the most impactful member of Froggy over these last few fights. 9 turns Blessing over onto Snatty. That's not going to lock him where you want it. 3-man stun, though, on the turnaround from Snatty. Kiki pops his ultimate. He's going to pull Promise right back in. Won't have the Scarab's Blessing to save his life here. Ohey continuing to find picks. Froggy hasn't been able to group up once with this Fire Giant buff, and instead it's Ohey who are pushing all the map pressure.
Look, Ohey did functionally find picks, but I'll say Froggy gave them kills instead, and it seems like they're going to continue to do so in a 3 versus 5.
Well, Bayroneri has to go big here. A lot of the damage off the board with Day to Remember, but Bayroneri now goes down. Wheels will add another as well. Jingu Bang, I'm not sure he survives this one. Death timer somewhat long. It's a deicide now. 25 minutes in. Ohey, a chance to end the game.
5 seconds left on Day to Remember's respawn. 5 seconds as well on the Khepri. So many members low. We might see a heroic defense.
Day to Remember, he rolls himself in. Scarab's Blessing onto him. He takes Cure Me out with them tightened down to half HP. Promise has got the kill onto Oceans as well. It's a double kill from Day to Remember. Looking for a third around the corner. He's got a triple kill for Day to Remember. Wheels pops the Aegis. Day to Remember pops him in return. It's a quadra kill for Day to Remember. Mifflin, you and I gotta stop casting these. Day to Remember saves the game.
Man, Ohey just moving up there is a little bit risky for my liking. 3 members of functionally on 10% health with the ADC and support respawning at the exact same time. But Day plays it perfectly, knows that he's going to have the Khepri respawn coming up right behind him, so immediately rolls into all 5 members and trades out as much damage as he could, trusting that the Scarab's Blessing was going to come through in time. I mean, that's perfect play. It's not easy to make that play, especially considering that the Scarab's Blessings really haven't been finding themselves home too often in this game so far. But 26 minutes in, man, Day to Remember reminds us why we're going to put the greater sign next to his name.
You and I gotta stop meeting like this, Miff. I don't know. Every time you and I cast SCC or SOC, there's a quadra kill or a pentakill to save the game, and now Froggy have busted this one wide open. Pyromancer, though you do have to look at what Ohey bought there. Now fully respawned, there's a mid lane Phoenix down, so fire minions having to be looked at, though maybe the okayest lane to deal with the minions from. It's difficult to defend against it if Ohey choose to split on the far sides of the map.
Yeah, I think it's definitely fine for Froggy losing the middle Phoenix there. Probably the most opportune Phoenix to lose, especially considering they maintain tier 2 towers on both side lanes. Right. Meaning that they don't have to give up pressure around this Fire Giant. They could very easily clear out these mid waves, then rotate in. Or even around this gold for you. It allows them the most flexibility on their defense. And they've already got about a 4,000 gold lead as well. Ohey didn't even deal that much damage to the Titan, so there's no real threat of backdoor potential either. Froggy's in a pretty decent spot. I'm almost willing to call this game completely even.
It does look that way. Ohey at a point now where everyone's level 20 except for Promise. Boots getting to the point where they're starting to be sold off. So, you know, as far as from when the game started to now, this is probably the most even we've seen things. It's Ohey starting up the FG now. On the backside is Froggy. Snatty to the left, near Chronic. Wheels Kierme doing plenty of damage to the Fire Giant, so it's all about buying time. Snatty, though, blinks forward, pulls off the FG. Is Ohey. They have to dash themselves away up to the sky. Goes Day to Remember. Final snipe down. See you later, Kiki.
Huge.
Now it's Chronic who has to turn away. 9 turns blessing on a Snatty, but it won't find much. Look at the Sanctified Field. Captures in 3. Oceans goes down. It's a double kill on the back of a quad for Day to Remember. The chase is on, a triple kill. You can't stop this guy. Unstoppable is Day to Remember. Jingu Bang takes down Kirmi, and Froggy are going to look towards the mid lane.
This dude's picked up 7 kills in 3 minutes, man. Day to Remember gets the MVP for this game, and having 40 seconds left on anyone's respawn, 30 seconds left on Kiki, I think this could very easily be the game. Chronic can't stand in front of the damage output from anyone on the side of Froggy. If he gets abducted, he's dead, just a day's damage.
Yeah, you don't have the same turnaround potential that Day to Remember has with the Scarab's Blessing on his side. The health bar is much bigger as well for Froggy this time around. The Titan being looked at, and on the back of Day to Remember, Froggy turn around game number 2, and they take the finals over here in the North American SOC.
It's so poetic that Ohey essentially lose both games in the exact same way, which is trying to push a small lead into something much bigger than it actually was, be it an invade onto a red buff after a Gold Fury, or maybe a tier 2 after you take out a tier 1. This time it was going for the Titan at negative health. It seems like if Ohey are able to just clean up the decision making come late game, their early game is pretty good. Their ability to find these small leads is really strong. It's just how well are they able to maintain them.
And Wheels right up there in that damage department. Day to Remember, of course, top damage in the game here at 28,000, but just 500 damage behind is Wheels. We wondered where this soul pick would maybe fall, and I think all things considered, it looked good here in this game with the amount of dive that was happening sort of into that back line. But how do you talk about anyone else other than Day to Remember and the incredible performance he puts on here? A quad to save the base, a triple kill earlier on in the game. Here's his quadra kill, near perfectly played.
Yeah, 1 quad, 2 triples, a couple doubles. This guy was finding damage constantly. He was out-rotating his lane opponent as well, able to find himself into a lot of mid-fights before the Soul was able to. I mean, everything just pans out perfectly. Day picks his targets perfectly in this engagement as well. There's not much you could say about it except for keep doing it, right?
Hey, he's got more triple-doubles than Oscar Robinson, the leader in the NBA. I definitely didn't just look that one up. Thank God for computers being next to us. I think, though, as well, I mean, you look at this team fighting composition that Froggy had, and this is not taking anything away from Day to Remember because he was lights out. But I think you talk about the relative impact, then, of what this Ola run was able to provide. A Sanctified Field sets up these fights, even for disengages that Froggy was able to turn around. This Ola run continues to find impact, and if nothing else, though he shied away from the quadra kills, the triple kills, all that sort of stuff from Day to Remember, this Ola run shows now why he is banned out. That is an exciting finale here in the North American SOC with Froggy turning that one around, thanks to Day to Remember. And if it couldn't get any more exciting, ladies and gentlemen, in 43 minutes or so, Ghost versus Radiance will start off this week in the SPL. We're going to take a quick break. SPL waiting room, though, will take us in.